I'm Andrew Robinson. I'm the author of Sudden Genius, The Gradual Path to Creative Breakthroughs. I've been interested in genius for a long time, really through writing biographies of famous people in the arts and sciences, like Albert Einstein. And in fact, my first biography was of a film director, an Oscar winner, who said to me one day, "I get my best ideas through flashes of inspiration, but I can't actually explain where they come from because often I'm not even thinking of the problem." And I don't think science can explain that. Well, in my book, I look through scientific eyes at genius and creative breakthroughs. Many people are probably familiar with the idea of the eureka moment, the eureka experience. Probably the most famous example is Archimedes, who stepped into a bath more than 2,000 years ago, suddenly understood the principles of displacement, flotation, jumped out, ran down the street crying, "Eureka! I have found it." And then you have Gutenberg, who claimed that he had discovered the printing press while watching wine being pressed in a wine press during the wine harvest. And of course Newton actually said himself that the fall of an apple from a tree had helped him with his idea of gravity. You have the poet Coleridge in the 19th century who composed one of his most famous poems, Kubla Khan, after waking from an opium-fueled sleep, and he claimed that he just wrote the whole thing down immediately. And then in our own time, the inventor of genetic fingerprinting, Alec Jeffreys, said he experienced an absolute eureka moment in the laboratory in 1984, one Monday morning. Now, there's obviously a lot more to eurekas than just the moment, and one of the things that I've discovered is that there's a long path leading to the eureka, consisting of study, research, reflection, and a lot of hard work. And I look at 10 famous examples of creative breakthroughs to try and understand this process better. For instance, Leonardo da Vinci composing painting The Last Supper, Christopher Wren designing St. Paul's Cathedral, Darwin with his theory of evolution by natural selection, and of course Einstein with his theory of relativity. And I discover that there is some kind of pattern at work that links all these together. Psychologists speak of the 10-year rule of creative breakthroughs. Well, I discover that that does really apply to my 10 famous breakthroughs. And the 10-year rule basically says that you have to work in a field for 10 years before you can really make an important breakthrough. So, for instance, Christopher Wren designed his first building in 1663 in Cambridge. 10 years later, in 1673, he comes up with the great model of St. Paul's, and that's the design for the cathedral. Darwin started studying natural history in 1828. 10 years later, you have in his notebooks the first sign of his great theory in 1838. And lastly, there's Einstein himself. He left school, he dropped out of school as a teenager, went to live with his parents, started thinking about the nature of light at home, did a thought experiment with the idea of chasing a beam of light, and lo and behold, 10 years later in 1905, you have his theory of relativity, his theory of motion, space and time.